I've made a couple videos about Stacy McKinley before and his views on the heavyweight division. Stacy McKinley has a long history of training heavyweights, and in his gym right now, he's training a lot of heavyweights. I think it's mainly heavyweights that he trains in his gym. And for those of you who don't know, Stacy McKinley did work with Mike Tyson in the latter stages of Tyson's career. So he knows about heavyweights, he knows who can punch hard, etc., etc. And he has said in several interviews now that Anthony Joshua beats Deontay Wilder, that Anthony Joshua is the top guy in the heavyweight division. And, you know, no disrespect to the person who did this interview, and it wasn't Nestor Gibbs, by the way. It was one of Nestor Gibbs's, employees. But he acts shocked when Stacy McKinley says that, I think it's in this interview. Is it another interview I've watched recently? I think it's this interview, or it might be one of the other interviews with somebody else. I'll have to go watch the interview again now to find out whether it was this one or a different interview. But it's either this interview or another interview where the interviewer appears shocked when the guy he's interviewing says that Joshua is the number one heavyweight right now. And he's like, what, not Wilder? Huh? And he's shocked to hear from an American, a boxing man, a guy who is in the game, that Wilder's not the number one heavyweight. You know, with all due respect, what brand of crack are you smoking? Since when did Deontay Wilder have the likes of Klitschko and Joseph Parker and Takam and Dylan White and all these other guys on his resume? Since when did Deontay Wilder have multiple championship belts? Why are you acting shocked that a sensible man is saying Joshua's the top heavyweight right now? Now, we don't know if Joshua's the best heavyweight because he hasn't fought Tyson Fury, he hasn't fought Deontay Wilder. Who's the best is yet to be decided. Don't try to tell me Wilder's the best. We don't know until they all fight each other. But in terms of who's the number one based on what they've achieved so far, on where they should be ranked at the moment, it has to be Joshua. But that just shows the delusion of some people, particularly in the United States. Not all people, but a lot of people in the United States who follow boxing. It shows the delusion in these people when they're not willing to acknowledge Joshua's achievements and not willing to acknowledge that right now, on paper, you have to put him number one. Of course you do. Any sensible person will be doing that. Any person with an ounce of objectivity will be saying, okay, well, you got to put Joshua in at number one right now because he's got more belts and he's beating more big names. Not saying he's the best. They have to get in the ring and scrap it out and we'll find out who's the best. But in terms of where you rank him, in terms of achievements so far, Joshua's number one. So this is what I believe McKinley says in this interview. But what I can confirm that he definitely says in this interview is that he thinks Joshua beats Wilder because Wilder makes too many mistakes. It's not the first time that Stacy McKinley has said this. Now, here I'm getting to the crux of this video, the point I want to make here, and it's a question I want to ask. For you guys who are diehard Deontay Wilder fanboys, I would like you to explain to me why Stacy McKinley says Anthony Joshua is the number one heavyweight and why Stacy McKinley says Joshua beats Wilder. Explain that to me. Stacy McKinley has no connection to Anthony Joshua or the Joshua team. I'm not saying Joshua hasn't been to his gym. He might have been to Stacy McKinley's gym, but McKinley's not part of his team, is he? And I don't know if Joshua's been to that gym, by the way. I know Joshua's been to the United States a couple times, but what I'm saying is McKinley is not on the Joshua payroll. McKinley is an American trainer who's American-based, doesn't train Joshua, never been in his corner, isn't with Eddie Hearn. So why would a man who ostensibly is neutral and is American be saying that Joshua beats Wilder? Now, I don't know if Joshua beats Wilder, but the point I'm making is these Deontay Wilder fanboys act as though the only sensible point of view is that Anthony Joshua is a fraud who's frightened, who's a coward, who is going to get blitzed by Deontay Wilder when they fight. That it won't be competitive. Wilder's just going to cut through him like a hot knife through butter. That is their point of view of 99.9% of these Wilder fans. They don't even think Joshua Wilder's competitive. They think Wilder just walks straight through him. And anybody who doesn't share that same perspective, they call him a hater or a Joshua fanboy or a Hearn fanboy. This is what they called him. So to you guys, to you mentally insane Wilder fanboys, explain to me why Stacy McKinley says the things that he does. Is he a Joshua fanboy? Is he a Hearn fanboy? Can't he just be a sensible boxing man with an opinion that's different than yours? Because here's the thing. Any British person who thinks that Deontay Wilder beats Anthony Joshua, I've got no issue with it. And there are some people who hate on Joshua and, they have their agendas in the UK. But I'm talking about people who just look at it from a neutral perspective, from an objective point of view, and they think, you know what, styles make fights? And I think Wilder's style would get to Joshua. I've got no issue with that. I don't know what's going to happen in that fight. I don't know who's going to win. That's why I want to see it. So I've got no issue with British people saying, oh, you know what, I think Wilder might get to Joshua, I got no issue with that. But the Wilder fanboys have got a massive issue with someone like Stacy McKinley, who'll come out and say he thinks Joshua beats Wilder because he's technically better. Yeah, they've got a massive issue with it, and they'll find some ridiculous excuse. They'll find some way to call him a hater or call him this or call him that. That's what they'll do. These people cannot grasp the concept of someone being objective. They can't grasp it. They can't get their heads around the fact that there are neutral boxing people with no connection to Eddie Hearn, no connection to Britain, who look at the situation and think, you know what, I think Joshua beats Wilder. They can't get their heads around this. They think there must be some ulterior motive. The Wilder fanboys, and look, I've had to deal with many fanboys during my time on YouTube since 2010. Many groups of fanboys for many different fighters over the years. But the Wilder fanboys are getting right up there in terms of their levels of delusion. They're getting right up there. Anyone who even suggests that Joshua Wilder's competitive, oh, you're an AJ fanboy, you're on Eddie Hearn's payroll, and they're coming out with all kind of rubbish. Bizarre. That's what it is. It's bizarre. But here we have again Stacy McKinley, a well-experienced American trainer dealing with heavyweights for decades and decades, a boxing man who knows the game, who's saying, once again, you have to rate Joshua as the number one right now based on what he's achieved. And he's also saying he thinks Joshua beats Wilder. Wilder makes too many technical mistakes. Maybe he's right. Maybe he's wrong. It's just one man's opinion. We'll see when eventually and hopefully they get in the ring together and square it off. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section below about all the points raised in this video. And again, I especially want to hear from the Wilder fanboys because I know you do follow my channel and you are dedicated to commenting and thumbsing down my videos. So, shout out to the Wilder fanboys. I know you're watching, and that's why I'm asking you the question. I want to hear from you guys. How do you explain a Stacy McKinley, a man with no connection to Joshua? Don't train Joshua. Don't train Matchroom Fighter. How do you explain him? He's not British, he's an American. How do you explain him saying Joshua's the number one heavyweight and saying Joshua beats Wilder? Show me. Explain to me in the comments. I want to see exactly how deluded you are. Maybe, you see, some people have said that the Wilder fanboys are not as deluded as I claim they are. Because one thing I have said on many occasions is that most of the Wilder fanboys, not all of them, but most of them, the vast majority of them, they don't actually want to see the Wilder-Joshua fight. And I've had certain people who are not Wilder fanboys say, no, you're wrong, Hatman. They do want to see the Wilder fight. They're so deluded. They think that Wilder destroys Joshua easy. No, that's what they say. You see, don't get confused by what a person says. Just because they say something, it doesn't mean they really believe it. I've been around on YouTube since 2010, 8 years. Okay? I get thousands of comments on my videos every day. And this has been going on for nearly a decade now. I understand the mentality of fanboys by now. I know how they behave. And I'm telling you now, the vast majority of Deontay Wilder fanboys, they do not want to see the Joshua fight. They're desperate for the fight not to happen. I'm telling you this now. I know it sounds bizarre, but I'm telling you this is the reality. Because deep down, they are worried that Anthony Joshua beats Deontay Wilder. That's why they don't want to see the fight. They want to act as though they want to see the fight, but they prefer to be in a situation where they can make out as though Joshua's afraid. They prefer that. They would prefer Joshua to just relinquish the belts, give them up, and let Deontay Wilder fight some cream puffs for the vacant titles. They prefer that. What they desperately don't want is for Wilder to actually get in the ring with Joshua. They desperately don't want that. They might act as though they want it, but you don't understand the fanboy if you think they really want the fight. You don't understand the fanboy. Their warped and twisted mentality. You don't understand it if you really think these people do not want the fight to happen. Most of them. Okay? There is a minority of them who want it. I want to say no more than 10% of them. The majority of them are desperate for Wilder to avoid Joshua. Desperate. If Wilder Joshua gets signed, 90% of Wilder fans are going to be losing sleep from the moment it gets signed. They are going to be praying that Joshua pulls out so they can blame him and call him a coward and allow Wilder to fight at some cream puff for the vacant belts. That's what they want. That's how the Wilder fanboys are. And again, I always have to reiterate this. I always have to remind you guys that I've been a believer in Deontay Wilder from day dot. You go back and look at my old videos on Deontay Wilder. I've been defending this guy for so many years. When not only British fight fans were dismissing Wilder and calling him every name under the sun and saying he would never go anywhere and he was a fake champion, when not only they were criticizing him, even when most American boxing fans were dismissing Deontay Wilder, I was making videos about Deontay Wilder and how I believe in Deontay Wilder when most of these Wilder fanboys didn't even know who Deontay Wilder was. And most American fans that I came across, see, I was always critical about how little support Deontay Wilder got in his own country. I was critical of the American fans for that. And I'll get American fans, a couple of years ago in the comment section of my video saying, why should we support him? He's garbage. He don't fight anybody. He's a paper champion. We're not going to support someone who's a paper champion. This is what they used to say in the comment section of my videos. American fans now. Yeah? When I was defending the guy. It's just funny how the situation changed, innit? Someone like me who's been defending Wilder for so many years, now these overnight Wilder fanboys who've come out of nowhere, who weren't talking about him 3-4 years ago when I was talking about him, now all of a sudden they're calling me a Wilder hater. Some joke business. These people are corny. They don't know my history, or if they do know my history in this YouTube game, they're ignoring it conveniently. Ignoring the fact that I've been believing in Wilder for years, defending Wilder for years. They don't talk about that. They ignore that. Ain't that funny? It's calling me a hater. I ain't a Wilder hater. I've never been a Wilder hater. Yeah, I criticize him from time to time. I criticize Joshua too. Criticize every fighter. Because as I say on my channel, no fighter is below praise and no fighter is above criticism. No fighter. Dylan White, a couple months back, talked about me in an interview with Boxing Social. And he said, Hatman's a funny one. Because sometimes he says good things about me, and other times he says critical things about me. So I don't know what's up with him. But doesn't that prove what I've been saying all along? That I'm objective? Yes, it does. I'm objective. I don't take one side and stick to that side forever. I don't do that. That's not realistic. A fighter would have to be completely infallible in and out of the ring if I was to stick to one side and stay there forever. No, eventually a fighter is going to do something which I deem worthy of criticism. And on the other hand, there are going to be certain fighters who I've criticized for a long time who are going to do something which I deem worthy of praise. Now, I don't criticize fighters equally because not all fighters deserve criticism equally. That doesn't make sense. You see, some people have looked at it and said, oh, well, if you do 5 videos criticizing Joshua, you need to do 5 videos criticizing Wilder. Being objective don't work like that. Being fair don't work like that. It's like, for example, if you've got one person, let's say you're a judge, you've got one person who is a thief and another person who's a serial killer. You're not going to give them both the same sentence, are you? Because one of them has done far worse and committed far more crimes than the other person. So obviously you're going to spend a lot more time chastising one than the other. Because this guy's done a lot worse than the other guy. You understand what I'm telling you? That's how it works. It doesn't mean the judge is being unfair because he's spending more time on the serial killer and handing in more sentences and chastising him more. It doesn't mean he's being unfair. Not at all. He's given a proportionate response to the behavior of each person. And that's what I do. Certain fighters warrant more criticism than other fighters. Certain fighters warrant more praise than other fighters because of what they do in the ring, because of the fights that they take, because of the fights that they don't take, so on and so forth. Because of the things they say sometimes or the things they don't say. All I can tell you is when a fighter does something which I deem worthy of criticism, I'm going to criticize it. And if they do something worthy of praise, I'm going to praise them for it. I've given Deontay Wilder a lot of praise over the years. But at the end of the day, in his first 22 fights, he didn't have 3 belts. In his first 22 fights, he didn't fight the caliber of opposition Joshua's fought. Facts. So anyway, I'm going to end this video right here. I want to hear from the Wilder fanboys especially. I know you're watching. I know you can't help watching. So thanks for being here. Let me know how you feel, people. It's happening. I'm out. Join me on Patreon. I upload a minimum of 2 podcasts every single week, covering a wide variety of controversial topics, as well as live stream Q&A sessions. Take a look on screen right now at some of the podcasts I've produced so far. For just $3 a month, the equivalent of about £2 a month, you get access to all my new podcasts and my entire back catalogue of past podcasts, including my popular Confessions of a Nightclub Bouncer series. You can listen on your computer or on your smartphone or tablet by downloading the Patreon app from the Google Play Store or the App Store for free. The Patreon app also allows you to download each podcast in MP3. For less than the price of a cup of coffee, you get access to dozens of hours of exclusive content. It's easy to sign up, there's no contract, and you can cancel at any time. So come and join our community of free and critical thinkers by signing up with me here on Patreon today.